Hello, hello, it's time for a book haul. I could call this a Christmas book haul because it is Christmas, but I didn't get these books for Christmas. I just have them. I want to say 2024 will be different in my heart and soul. I'm saying 2024 will be different. I don't think it will be, like, if we're being completely honest here. But you know what? Let's get going. First up, the first book I have here is not a book I've bought. This is a book that a former coworker of mine, she works in the library that I used to work at. I used to play D&D with her. It was great. But she texted me and was like, do you want this book? And plus a different book that's in French, but that's not in here because it's not going in the book wall. It's going on my French pile. And I was like, yes. And my little sister picked it up. And then when I was home for Christmas on the 22nd and the 23rd, I grabbed it. And that is Personal Memoirs of U.S. Grant, Selected Letters, 1839 to 1865. Ulysses S. Grant is my favorite president. I love him. And he was a great writer also. He was a great writer. Wasn't good at very much else, but he was a great writer. And I'm excited to have this. Sorry, I'm getting over something. After that, I do have Tower by Bae Myung-hoon, which is, I believe, a science fiction-y situation, and it follows these stories all centering around like this tower. This is some Korean literature. I've been meaning to get into more literature, Asian literature that is not Japanese. Even the Japanese literature that I've read is not really that much. I've read some Japanese horror because the Japanese are just great at horror, you know, your battle royale, confession, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I saw this recommended. Somebody, I don't remember her name, but she like lives in Korea, and I've actually bought a couple of books based on her recommendations. So I've got this. Then I've got the first volume of Bungo Stray Dogs. I'm deciding to collect this manga again. I only ever read the first volume actually, but now I've got it again, so I'm gonna reread it, and then I will continue on. I do like the concept of this, and I'm just a sucker for when we have characters who are taking like the names of like prominent literary figures. The English major in me just loves the hell out of that. All right, after that, I've got Kiss Cut by Karen Slaughter. I have like random books in the series, and I decided that I want to read this in order, so I think this is the first one. I'm pretty sure. It's either the first one or it's one of the first ones. I do have Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, which I've actually never read. This is a 50th anniversary edition. I got it used, and mine came decorated, so that'll be interesting. But no, I've never read Catch-22. I do have the sequel. I don't know why there's a sequel to Catch-22, but I have it. But it is a classic, you know, modern classic. So I've got it. After that, speaking of modern classics, no, this is not a modern classic. Speaking of Korean literature, this is not literature. Killing Stalking Volume 3. I have Volume 4 coming as well, so I will have the whole goddamn series here before too long. This is the deluxe edition. I think that's the only edition that exists, so I'm not sure why it's even called the deluxe edition. But don't read this. No, you can do whatever you want. Killing Stalking is about this very disturbed young man who becomes obsessed with this other man, this guy, and breaks into his house after stalking him for a while, and finds out that this man is a serial killer. And then there's a whole bunch that happens, and it's all as bad as you're thinking. But I do have volume 3 now. I've had volumes 1 and 2 on my shelves for a while, and I haven't like kept up with it. I have volume 4 coming, and I know there's only 5 volumes total, so now I'm only gonna have one more. Sleeping Freshmen Never Lie by David Lubar. I used to read a bunch of his like little short stories for like children, like the Lawn Weenies and stuff like that. So this should be fun. I think it's already in the book wall, but that's fine. I've got Struck by Lightning by Chris Colfer, and this I remember when Chris Colfer was starting like in like the last days of Glee, starting to like make a name for himself as like a young adult and middle grade author. And I remember this one came out, and then he was in like the movie that came out at the exact same time. So this should be interesting to read. Cause you know, but no, I've heard very good things about his middle grade series actually. So maybe he's not. I don't really have any preconceived notions of how good or bad he is as a writer. So we'll see. After that, I do have My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. I never got into these. I know that they came out with quite a few of them. This is like an adaptation of Jane Eyre. I actually have never read Jane Eyre. Somehow I got an English degree and I never read Jane Eyre. But I'm assuming it is these are supposed to be like semi-funny. That's the whole thing. So we'll see. After that, I've got one that is supposed to be like really bad. It's The Inheritance Games. By Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this is like a YA version of all those like really like Kindle Unlimited romance situations where we've got like one guy and like 4 super hot rich brothers, and it's a lot. But I have been vaguely interested in it. I'm not gonna lie, I have been vaguely interested in it, because just a part of me really like itches for those terrible books, you know. It was in a lot on eBay. I think all that I've got left right now are all like books that were in a lot on eBay. So like that's how it is. Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I haven't read this book like since it came out, because I remember when it came out and I really enjoyed it. It's a good series, and what's good about this one is I'm pretty sure that I'm hoping so, if I'm remembering right, they're pretty tame, so I can hopefully put them in my 5th grade classroom. That's the thing with young adult, because I got some kids who are really high readers, so once I've read this, if I'm right and they are tame, I can put it in my 5th grade classroom, which will be great. Then, speaking of which, I can't, because of the swearing, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. I've got another copy of this book in the stack. So we're just going to move on. I'll talk about it then. The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly. I remember seeing this cover before. I remember like a lot of people like calling it when it came out, but I do not remember anybody ever actually reading it. So these lots of books I got were basically like, it's like I just rated the home of a booktuber in like 2016 is what it feels like, because these are all books I remember seeing on booktube in 2016. So that's fun. I don't know what this is about. So we got 12-year-old David. His mom's dead. The books are whispering at him. Reality and fantasy meld. He's violently propelled into a world with a strange reflection of his own. Okay. Yeah, that should be fun. Then I've got one I've actually never heard of, and that is 7 Dirty Secrets by Natalie D. Richards, which is I believe a young adult thriller. Is it young adult? Yeah, it's young adult. I'm pretty sure it's young adult. But I'm sure it's the same as every other young adult thriller. I've got The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, which has, you know, accolades for days. I've never read it. I don't even know what it's about. Oh, it's about an autistic kid. Okay. Yeah, but it's, I mean, people talk this book up, you know, forever. Last stack here, I've got this first one. It's called Sunny Rolls the Dice by Jennifer L. Holm and Matthew Holm, which is a children's graphic novel, middle grade children's graphic novel. About this girl right here. I don't know anything else about it. I've got The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have actually read this before. I had it like a book of the month thing. But again, it was a lot on eBay. I was fine with it. I mean, it was one of my few kind of forays into romance. I don't think it was bad. It is, you know, it's your obvious Reylo fan fiction. However, I've never seen a Star Wars movie in my life. So even as somebody who doesn't understand the whole concept behind that, it was fine. Also, it'll be fun to reread. After that, here's my other copy of Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. This is the nice copy. Okay, like this is the old copy, the cover, the hardcover. I have read this book before. I remember liking it. Like it's a fun one. I know Jesse Andrews kind of really made a splash when he came onto the scene with this one, and they put out The Haters, and then I don't know if he's put out anything since. So there's that. Got some Carl Hiaasen books. Carl Hiaasen was my favorite authors when I was young, like a child. So I've got one that I never read, one that I never finished, one that I never started, and then 2 that I read multiple times. The one that I started but never finished ever was Scat. And I remember I started this because I liked the other 2 that I'd read by him. I never finished it, so I'll be finishing that now. Oh, and restarting. Trump, which I never started. This one is the newest one. When did this come out? This came out in 2012, so I was already in high school by that point. So that's why I never started it, because I moved on to Stephen King. Oh geez. Anyway, and then the 2 that I have read so many times, Flush, and of course Hoot. So there's those. Then I do have one that again, this is another one that I haven't read since it came out, and I read it in a day. I'd written a day on the bathroom floor. Don't ask me why I was sitting on the bathroom floor, but I distinctly remember reading this in a day on the bathroom floor. And that is Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. And this has like some like extra stuff in here. It is much thicker than the one that I remember reading, but yeah, this kind of paved the road for. This was really like the standard for young adult LGBT fiction for a while. It really kind of exploded. It was good. I mean, it was good. It was cute. Becky Albertalli is a talented contemporary writer. She is. I don't know what she's been doing lately. Has she been doing much? Really? Should somebody go check on her? Like, yeah, because she was putting out like at least a book here for a while there, but no, I haven't heard anything for a while. Just Jamie by Terry Levinson. My fifth graders love these books. They do. Then I've got Miss Peregrine Home for Peculiar Children, which I have read once. I didn't remember thinking that much of it, but again, this is one where if I'm remembering right, this is one I could put in the fifth grade classroom because I got some high readers in there. The pictures were, I remember, the coolest thing about that was their gimmick, and the gimmick was the coolest thing about it. So there's that. Then, stepping away from our lots of books, the third volume of the Durara manga. So this is farther than I ever went. And if you, I don't know if I can show up on camera, you can kind of see it there. There's little hearts in like the background there. And that's because Shinra and Celti are in love. Anyway, this is farther than I ever went in the manga. So I'm excited to keep on going because it's a classic. It's a classic story. After that, back into the lots. This one, Stolen by Lucy Christopher. This one, I'm sure, like, is again, I keep saying this, these aren't books for my classroom, but once I read books, I can get rid of them easily. And if I can tell that a book is it would be better, especially if I can tell that a book would be better suited in a classroom, I can very easily get rid of it. And I think based on my fifth graders' love affair with April Henry, this is going to be a big one. Then I've got the Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman, which I have read before. It was a lot on eBay. I'm staying away from those now. I say this every 6 months. It was okay. I remember reading Eon and Iona too when I was younger. So I'd actually be interested in rereading those. I read those when I was, like a teenager. But yeah, this is a very nice copy. I'm not gonna lie. I really like these end papers. Then I've got one that I haven't read. Finally, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I read The Poet X, and it was really good. So this would be the first time I've read her prose. Let's just take a minute to appreciate how gorgeous this is. It's beautiful. But no, I mean, this is about a teen mom who's like a cook. And so it should be fun. And then finally, Redwall by Brian Jacques. And I have actually never read Redwall, which is weird because I was such a Warrior Cat kid. I was a huge Warrior Cat kid. But I never read Redwall. They got a character named Methuselah. What the hell? On that note, that is my book haul. There might be another one before the new year. I haven't decided, so I'm going to be rebuilding the book wall. You can kind of see it's in a bit of a state of disrepair right now. I'm going to be rebuilding the book wall on the 31st. And I don't know, like, if I have other books to haul. I don't know if I want to haul them before I rebuild the book wall and then put them in the book wall, or if I want to just wait, So that will be decided then. I'm leaning towards just waiting, just like leaving them to rot in the bottom of my TBR cart until I do my next book haul. But yeah, I don't know yet. We'll see. But yeah, that's my book haul here. My Christmas book haul of books that were not for Christmas. I did get, I'm not gonna lie, overall, in terms of Christmas, I did get $115 Barnes & Noble. So it's either going to be the next time I'm in Fargo or Bismarck or Minot, or the next time they have a really great sale on their website. But yeah, it's great. That's the most money, Barnes & Noble money I've gotten in a long time. But yeah, that's that. I gotta go find a way to kind of shove these somewhere around the book wall. You can see nice stacks in front there. Those are books that I have not, that need to go in the book wall, which is why I need to rebuild the book wall. Also, like, everything's at like different levels because I randomize which stacks I pull from, so which causes the different levels. But yeah, I'll be rebuilding that in a little bit less than a week, which is daunting, really. But yeah, that's everything. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.